Hello.
Hello.
I can't
Welcome.
even say you caught me by surprise because you told me we were
I
starting.
did a couple times. Welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode.
186, I feel like.
Yes, you are correct. Thank you.
Hmm.
It's December 17th. We're re recording because my software decided not to cooperate. I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Less,
I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
and multitasker.
I was making sure my Super Tintin was recording because then I didn't want to be the person who messed it up this week because I'd be afraid you'd drive to Mississippi and kill me. That's all there is to it.
Why would I bother? You're coming up here anyway.
Hmm. Just delay that process a week, it'll be fine.
Yeah. So, works in progress. Why don't you go?
Awesome. I am working on the barley hat, which is actually what I was looking at because I'm about to start the decreases. It is a hat pattern by the lovely folks over at Tin Can Knits.
Mhm.
And did you see that they've published the last pattern in the Simple collection?
Yeah, it's a sweater.
Oh, it's super cute. I'm
Mhm.
super excited. This is from their Simple collection, which is made to be like a learn how to knit collection.
Mhm.
And there's a ton of great patterns. Most of them have like a sock net with this garter stitch detail. There's socks, a blanket, a scarf, two sweaters, one cardigan, one pullover, and
A hat.
a hat, obviously. And socks. Did I already say
You already
socks?
said
Sisters?
socks.
So a bunch of different things, and they're all offered for free.
Mhm.
This pattern starts out on size 6 needles for the ribbing, the one by one ribbing. Then you just knit around. Then you add in this textured detail and go to town for like 7 or 8 inches. You do switch over to size 8 needles, and I have this on my Novas now, which is the only pair of Novas I have by Knitter's Pride. I do like how they are etched. I don't know if y'all can see that because I'm terrible at flipping, but they have this like laser etching of the
Hold it still.
plus,
There you go. Sort of.
plus it's kind of light. There's light shining on it. So those are working out splendiferous. The yarn I am using is a yarn that we were sent to review. It is from Knitting Boutique,
Mhm.
and it is the Pataposka. I don't know.
Patapsco? I'm terrible.
It's been a long day, y'all, for both of us. It is 100% Falkland, which is one of the things I love about their line of yarns is they are breed specific.
Mhm.
This is the chocolate bark colorway. It is a worsted weight yarn. They do give the approximate stitches per inch on the label. Like everything, your gauge may vary.
Mhm.
It is a very tight, twisted 3-ply. So it is a little, because it's got so much twist, it's got more of a firm hand than something that would be more drapey with a soft twist. But that's perfect for a hat, because you want your hat, in this case, it's a guy's hat, to have some structure. And it is hand dyed using natural dyes. So the
Yes.
variation is due to the natural dyeing process. Now, where the ties were, there were little blips of white, but I think it gives it a little bit of character. It doesn't bother me, and when they're knit out, you really can't see them. I'm using 2 of my new favorite stitch markers. One is a mushroom that Lori from Deerfield Creations sent me in a package I got. I got this very cool orifice hook with a ladybug on it for my ladybug.
Yep.
And then the other is cool because it was made on a 3D printer, which I am trying to scheme a way to have in my library. So I can make all the stitch markers. I don't know what else I would use it for.
I'm sure there would be applications.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Like library applications, like bookmarks.
There you go. Let's buy this, several $1,000 printer.
Yeah, obviously,
To make bookmarks.
necessity, which is why I don't have it. My friend Becca made these on her MakerBot that she's in the Chicago Public Library system, and she made me a bookmark too with googly eyes, and one of the googly eyes is green, and the other googly eye is blue. just like me.
It's a mutant.
It is. My kids are studying genetics this week, and I know that because they come up and they're like, I'm like, can I help you? And they're like, no, we're just looking at your eyes. Okay. So that's the first work in progress. The second work in progress, when we recorded Sunday, this had a boo-boo in it, but now it's been fixed and it's done. So the first of the, where's my tag for that? I have so much.
Crush?
Yeah, it's the Candy Crush colorway from Mustache Knits. But she accidentally mistagged it with 10-Day Fiesta, but it's not. It's definitely Candy Crush. And then the other colorway is, so this is it. It's an Afterthought heel sock that I'm making for Leslie. And she knows because I had to tell her because she has the Candy Crush colorway too.
Yeah.
I started these for her before I realized that she also had this yarn, so she got to find out her Christmas present early. But the gray, last time we had talked about I was going to use a contrast color for the heels and the ribbing at the top because I didn't want this popping through on the pearls with a different color repeatedly. So I used a gray trekking. Mm-hmm. It is Trekking XXL in the color 62. I know where it is. It's in the bag. Oh, and I didn't show you my bag for my other thing. I will show you all the things. So it's in my Seashore Sharon bag, which is stuffed to the gills with the trekking yarn, the Eddie Turbo needles. No, these are Hiya Sharps. I'm sorry. Hiya Sharps, which don't have anything on them. The Candy Crush yarn. And then it's like my bag of holding. The Trekking XXL tag, and this is color 62. And this was one of actually the first skeins I got. It's like my first vacation buying skein that
like
I got.
Souvenir?
Yeah, like a souvenir skein. And then Mustache Knits in the perfect self-striping. And just ignore that 10 Days Fiesta. It's in fact Candy Crush. So now I have to buy some of her 10 Days Fiesta. It's going to happen.
It's a hardship, you know.
Well, she's coming to SSK, so...
This is true.
I'll be able to get it there. So on size 1 needles, 2.25 metric. Cast on 16, went up to 60 stitches on the toe. These are cast on from the top using Judy's Magic Cast On. Knit. Put in some waist yarn. Knit. Did the ribbing and then the heel. And I'll get the second one started probably in the car to Philly on Friday. Or maybe during my closing. I don't think they'll let me knit during closing.
No, because you're going to be signing your name so many times that your hand is going to fall off. And I wish I were exaggerating.
I wonder if they'll let me use my stamp, because
No,
I have a stamp.
They will not.
I did find out, so my bank is doing my mortgage, and I was just like, can't y'all just withdraw all the money that you need for closing? And they're like, no, we need you to go get a cashier's check. And just carrying around a cashier's check, that amount of money makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
But anyway, Seashore Sharon bag. The other bag, which I forgot to tell you about, is new to me. It is books. And it is from the lovely Lisa of Knitwench at Etsy. So knitwench at Etsy.com. Mm-hmm. And it is cool in books. And I like how on her business card she's got the little measuring, but also the Elizabeth Zimmerman quote.
Yes. I like that the business card is useful as a ruler. I think that's a great way to get people to hold on to your cards, is to make them useful in some way.
Yep, definitely. But wait, there's more works in progress. So this is what I worked on today and at Guilds last night, because I went to the Memphis Knitting Guild last night. And it is it got flipped inside out because the children were touching it. It is the Honey Cow. It is around 4 inches long. I'm going to go till I run out of yarn. The Honey Cow is a free pattern from Metal and Tosh Yarns. I like the fabric that I'm getting. I'm using size 6s, so a lot of people did it with this yarn on size 8s. I don't think that would have been, it would have been super drapey, but I'm not certain it would have worked for me. It's one of the infinity scarves, and I wish I hadn't left off right at the stitch marker because that line's kind of bothering me. But it's a slip stitch pattern, super easy, and they have a matching hat pattern that you can purchase. This pattern's free, size 6 needles, and it goes super fast. It's very quick pattern, but because it's slip stitches, it's around 14 rows equals 1 inch.
Yeah.
It's taking me 12 minutes and 36 seconds to do rows. So it's a little bit on the time consuming side.
How do you not stress yourself out timing yourself? Like, even if you're okay with every row taking you 30 minutes, like, doesn't it stress you out to time yourself?
Nope. I enjoy it because then I can be like, okay, well, if I put in 75 minutes on this tonight, then I'll get another inch. And most people got it to around 9 inches. This is how much yarn I have left. I had to handball it because it got a little knotted in the cake. So I have probably half the yarn left. So it's going to be around 8 inches. So it's taking like an hour and a half to do an inch. So another 4 inches would be 4, 5, 6 hours of knitting. I like knowing approximately how long I need to work on it. When it's Christmas presents, so this is going to my grandmother for Christmas, so it's good to know. But I do that all the time.
If it makes you happy, then it makes you happy. That's all I need to know.
I time my rows all the time, like the log cabin especially.
Ugh. All right, so is that all of your works in progress?
It is all my works in progress.
Thank goodness. Okay, so I have 3 sort of works in progress. Laura and I both had sort of a trying week last week, and so our answer was to cast on all the things.
In case you can tell.
Yeah. So I was going to cast on 3 pairs of socks when I finished my Delancey cardigan, and I'll show you that later. But I only got 2 pairs cast on because I got sick of winding yarn. I got 800 yards wound, and I was like, I'm done. So I cast on with 2 different skeins. This one is Blue Moon Fiber Arts Lightweight in the Great Northwest colorway.
I love that colorway.
And it's getting pulled from the inside and the outside of the ball because I decided to try 2 at a time socks. And I'm using my Diet Craft heavy metals for this. And it's the beginning was super duper crazy fiddly. It's not as fiddly now. It's still not as fast as knitting 1 at a time, just because I have to look at the end of each row. I have to look down and make sure things aren't tangled and whatever. But it's perfectly fine. I mean, it's not deadline knitting, so whatever. They're kind of matching up right now, which is cool, but
that is super cool.
Even if they don't continue to match, I don't care. These are on a size 1 2.25 needle, and it's a really long cable. It's probably a 40-inch cable, which is the only one I had free, which is why I decided to do 2 at a time. Really.
The truth comes out.
Yeah. The next is Laura's present for Christmas, one of her presents.
Sure.
This is Knitter's Nightmare, and thank you for being a friend. And I wanted to just say how much I love Sadie, the way Sadie labels her yarn. It's really a quick glance at how many stripes it is, whether it's variegated, solid, etc. I just think that's a really clever way to do it. And that's knittersnightmare.com. I think that it's a big cartel shop or something, but you can get to it from knittersnightmare.com. Anyway, this is what it looks like in the cake. It is a Golden Girls reference, the song. If I could sing, I would sing it for you, but you don't want to hear that. And I decided that since it was my friend Sadie's yarn, and it was going to my friend Laura, I was going to use one of my friend's patterns. So I used Marion Molden's Cafe Macchiato, and I'm almost at the point now where I'm going to turn the heel.
Oh, cool.
So it's about 5.5, 6 inches long. I should probably get a tape measure and measure it. But yeah, it's about 6 inches long. I'm going to do a fish lips kiss heel on it, and which is what's actually recommended in the pattern, but I also like that one, so I'm going to do it. And then I probably will not carry this down the foot, just because if you're putting your feet
That's
inside
fine for me.
shoes,
Yeah.
like it'll rub. So plus it'll go
That's
faster if I can
perfectly fine
skip
with
the
me.
panel for the foot. So, but it is a really cute pattern. Like, it's super easy. You don't have to look at the pattern after the first row. It's really easy. And I think it's only like $2 or $3. It's a really low cost pattern. So, and these are on, that's on my Hiya Sharps. Again, 2.25. I tend to do 2.25 for socks just because I like it. It gives it a nice dense fabric. My other work in progress is for that skirt in the Kismet ebook that we reviewed last week, the weaving book. The skirt is called Constellation, and for anybody that didn't watch, last week we reviewed a weaving book. In this particular weaving book, there was a skirt called Kismet, and it's made by using long rectangles of woven fabric interspersed with wedges that are knit. So it gives it sort of a flowy, flirty sort of look. I'm probably not going to knit the wedges. I'll probably sew them because it goes faster, theoretically.
So what kind of fabric are you going to use to sew? Are you going to use a knit fabric?
I probably am going to use a knit fabric just because
that'll be interesting.
A cotton is going to wrinkle a lot more easily than a knit is, and I want it to have the same nice feel to it. So we'll see. I'll probably take this with me to the fabric shop at some point and just see. I don't know. Although I am going to New York in January, so maybe I'll go to Mood and see if I can
find so cool.
a fabric that'll work with it that's got like similar color tones. I don't know. Anyway, so this is 12 feet worth of knitted fabric. It's a lot. This is folded in quarters. And it is...
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning.
Thank you. I'm happy with it. I wove it in a couple days because I was like a woman on a mission, and I didn't feel like knitting. And sometimes, like, knitting to produce for the show sometimes gets old. Like, sometimes you just want to take a week off. But I had the mojo for weaving, so I just embraced it and went with it.
Cool.
So the warp, which is the up and down fabric, is a deep blue, and it's Woolmiza in a color called Wasserats. And the weft, which is the fabric that goes back and forth, is another Woolmiza called De-Ouster, which was the Spring Fling 2008 special colorway.
I love it.
So I've been holding on to that color for 5 years, 6 years, looking for something special to do with it. And I found it. So
there you go.
I'm not calling it a finished object because I still have a lot to do, and it's like the edges aren't finished. You can still see the fringe on the edge because I wove a 1-inch waist yarn, so that because you're going to take a sewing machine and reinforce the edging and then just cut it off. So there's no need to do hem stitching or finish the edges or anything because you're just going to use a sewing machine and tack it down. So so that's
cool.
all for my works in progress.
Very cool. I think I forgot to tell you that my cowl was out of Medtosh Pashmina.
Yes, you did. I just realized
in the Steam Age colorway. I think it's Steam Age.
I think we're keeping you up past your bedtime.
It's not past my bedtime tonight. I've been kept up past my bedtime the last 2 nights though. It gets old getting up at 5:30 in the morning.
Maybe you're just getting old.
There is that. All the time. I finished an object.
Yay!
Hey, Leslie did too, but I'm going first because I can. I finished The Long Beanie by Woolly Wormhead. It is out of Knitting Boutique. There's a theme. The Monica C colorway, or I'm sorry, Monica C base, which is 100% merino. It is in the Caribbean Waters colorway. Like we were talking about earlier, this is a natural dyed yarn, and this one uses indigo, so there is some color that did shift off as I was knitting it. and I just kind of squished it in the water, and I think most of it came out because the water stayed clear for the rest of the time after I did the first rinse. And there's this thing where most times when you're knitting with a color and excess dye is coming out, at least this is what I've been told, it's like because you're manipulating the yarn and the yarn's moving in ways that even if it was rinsed,
right.
it's moving in different
You're
ways.
like almost wringing it to some degree.
So that's what it looks like. It's a free pattern by Woolly Wormhead. It was knit on size 10 needles all the way up. Very basic pattern. And I did one of these out of Hog Isle hand spun for my father last year. And this one's going to Michael because it's kind of a dolphin's color.
Yeah, it is.
And Leslie says he'll wear it regardless.
He will.
So I like the variegation. It'll be a nice, like, heavy hat. It's nice and thick and dense.
Yeah, it's like a chunky weight, so it went quickly, right?
It went super quick. I think I knit the whole thing in 2 hours.
Oh.
So.
Wow, impressed.
Yep. And very, very quick for a Saturday night knit. Yep. And that's been washed, blocked, everything's done, so it's completely finished, ready to be packed. I need to add it to my present pile to be wrapped and packed on Thursday, because I'm off on Thursday.
Oh, you are?
Because I took off for the house.
Oh, okay.
I could have taken like 3 hours for the closing, because I had 3 hours of my personal leave time left for the year, for like until May.
All right.
Because I took some hours for the home inspection and other things. But I decided that I was just going to take the entire day. So I used one of my 2 personal days for the year. And I'm going to enjoy the whole darn day.
You should.
I'm going to mail out prizes on Thursday. I did go by the post office on Saturday and mailed a bunch. But I've had people contact me since then. So I have a couple prizes to mail out. I have Christmas presents to mail out to people and stuff to get done. So hopefully Thursday will be good. Plus, I want to start painting the ceiling on Thursday. So I'm overly ambitious.
Okay.
And by me, I mean Mom.
Okay.
And I have to get the water switched over because you have to show some paperwork that you bought a house to switch your water over in the city of South Haven, which is hilarious because why would you volunteer to pay other people's water bills? Like, whatever. So I get to go to City Hall. I don't even know where City Hall in South Haven is, but I'm about to find out.
I think it's back where the police station is by the library off of Main Street.
Okay, I know where that is. I know where the library is.
Yeah. Anyway, for people that don't live in DeSoto County, Mississippi, I sort of kind of finished my Delancey cardi, and I'm borrowing heavily from the TheKnitGirlls. This is a block away from being done. So I need to weave in ends, insert a zipper, and block. But other than that, the actual knitting of it is complete. This is the Delancey cardi. Both colors are the Fat Squirrel fibers and her BFL DK base. And the light red is Medallion Red. The dark red is Leslie is a Lush. And I'm really digging this a lot. I just do not have the patience to weave in all the ends right now. That'll be like a mindless work from home project next week.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
And I need to go to Joann's and get a 14-inch zipper because it's only going to zip to like lower rib cage, just to where the
Are you going to get like one of those double zippers or just a single zip?
No, single. It's going to be an invisible zipper because I did an I-cord bind off all the way around. It called for a garter stitch on the button band, but I didn't want to do garter stitch because I was contrary. So I did a seed stitch and then I did an I-cord bind off. That way it'll give it a nice round bind off and it'll hide the invisible zipper really nicely. So my dog is on the sofa. Sorry.
Hey, Neelix.
So
it was Neelix, right? I just saw a button passing.
It is Neelix, yes. Buffy doesn't come down here very much. So that's my only finished object. I have no spinning, although I did get a text from my friend Amy, Carpe Cakem, who alerted me to a Hello Yarn update today.
Oh, I missed it. That's okay. I have no money.
And Hello Yarn is actually Fiverr, and it's difficult to get if you're not in the club, and I'm not. And I got a couple colors that I liked a
Oh,
lot,
wow.
but I did not get the one that I wanted, which was Pet Swamp Dragon or something. I can't remember what it was called, but I wanted it, and it was gone. But
Her updates go fast.
yeah, and she texted me and she was like, "It might be gone already." So I added everything I could to my cart, and then I went and actually looked at everything and released the things I didn't want, and it was only $30. I mean, her stuff's really reasonably priced.
Oh yeah, for how popular it is, her stuff's extremely reasonably priced.
So I have no spinning, but I bought more spinning stuff.
That's awesome. I'll segue. I have Hello Yarn that I'm spinning.
Ooh, pretty.
This is actually the only update. No, I cut two updates. This is the first update that I ever caught, and I'm not that fast, so I've never been able to get more than one bag in an update. But it is Hello Yarn and Targi and the vacuum colorway. So I've spun the first bobbin. The second bobbin is almost done. It's downstairs on the Lendrum because I was spinning it as I watched Sunday Night Football, and then I'm going to ply it
Yay!
on my magical new bobbin.
So we'll talk about these a little bit more in favorite things.
Yep. So I just brought up the one, but I cannot wait to try it out. And that's super exciting to me. I did finish plying some other things. I finished plying, let's see, now I'm picking out more veg matter.
Stop.
I gotta let this go. I plied a bat from a local bat maker. I don't think she's a farmer. I don't think she has her own vegetables. She doesn't have vegetables nor animals, but she does make bats. And I picked this up at the Oxford Fiber Festival last year, which I plan on going to this year. It's in January. So I'll probably just go and sit and knit or sit and spin on the e-spinner. But I'm super excited to be going down there. I need to look and see who they have coming because there might be a class that I want to take. Last year they had the awesome mastermind behind Cooperative Press, Shannon Oakey.
Oh, neat.
I took a raglan sweater class from her. But anyway, this was a 6-ounce bat, and I spun it thick and thin kind of crazily because it had everything in it but the kitchen sink. It had cotton, silk noil, Angelina, 3 different types of wool, raw locks, which you can kind of see. Just everything is in here. So it's lumpy, bumpy, and I think I'm going to use it for a weaving project.
I think it would be great for a weaving project.
So I think that will be fun. Plus, it looks like it's all in one skein. It's actually in 3 different little skeins.
Oh, neat.
So I need to wind that on bobbins, and maybe I'll do that. I also finished plying. Now that was soaked in wax. This has not been. I spun before Spinzilla a loop bat called Loop Loves Lala. It was my club bat colorway. And it goes from purple. I hate it when I don't put on the tags right. From a light purple to a gray, to a lighter gray, to green, to the dark purple. It's kind of crazy right now because so when you ply something that's been sitting a long time, the twist is still in the singles, the original singles, but it kind of loses its twist over time when it's been sitting on a bobbin for like 4 months. So once I put it in water, I might do this tonight and soak it and thwack it. It'll like reactivate the twist and it'll even itself out a little bit and stop looking so crazy and lose some of the twist actually. But this was 430 yards, and you can see like that dark purple is what I started with, and then I ended up with this thin that purple. So there is some difference between how I spun it because it was started before Tour de Fleece and finished right before Spinzilla. So it sat on the bobbins for a while. So it'll be fun. I think I'm going to do a shawl out of it.
Yeah.
Or maybe a honey cow. Now that I've got the honey cow madness going on. Because that would be good yardage and give me a bit. I need to pick out, Susan B. Anderson has a new pattern called 50-yard shawl.
Yes.
And so I'm going to pick out some hand spun to
It's not
line
50 yards, it's a 50 row.
row. I'm sorry. 50 yards would be insane.
I just didn't want anybody to get their hopes up.
So I'm going to pick out some hand spun and knit that. I just need to pick out like a worsted weight hand spun, which there is some. Spinzilla replenished my hand spun stock.
Yeah, I got a
So
little bit of that for
match
myself.
like 250 yards of worsted. But that is it for me for spinning. We do have a book review.
Yes.
The book review is Cozy Knits by Tanis Gray. It's edited by Tanis Gray. The lovely folks over at Interweave Press sent this.
Yep.
It is $18.95 retail in the U.S. and $20.95 in Canada. It is an amazing bargain for what you're getting because it's 50 fast and easy projects. All the projects use the Cascade Pacific yarn, which is an acrylic wool mix, and either a chunky or a worsted weight. Yep. So super fast projects. And let's say normally would spend $5 a pattern. I think you could easily find patterns in here that you would like.
I would agree with that. And it's got all kinds of different, as I was going through, I made a note of the different types of techniques. It's got I-cord, intarsia, brioche, fair isle, cables, lace, garter, and slip stitch color work. So it's got like 8 or 9 different types of techniques in here, which would be a great way to dip your toes in the water of a new technique.
Yep. It starts out with a section that is called Heartfelt Noggins, Heartfelt Hats, and it's all things for your noggin to keep your noggin warm. One of my favorites is the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star Fair Owl Beanie, which actually uses 2 colors held together for the cast on, which is very unique, and then some fair owl work. I would make mine a little bit longer, but that does use the Pacific in the worsted weight on size 8 needles, and this is a charted pattern primarily, so if you're not familiar with charts, this would be a good book also to familiarize yourself with some charts as well.
I think the I-cord Can You hat is interesting. I don't know that I would knit it just because I don't like I-cord that much, but you start at the top here with the I-cord and you're essentially only knitting, I don't know, 5 or 6 stitches over and over and over as you join it to each round. 5 stitches, it looks like. But yeah, so it's essentially a huge spiral. And it's got a neat way of joining each row, and then you add the ribbing at the bottom, which I think is really clever.
And you were mentioning when we first reviewed it that might be really, really interesting in a self-striping or a Noro type color repeat.
A slow color shift yarn would be cool.
Or a gradient. That would be very interesting. I really like the His and Hers cabled brim tam and beanie. This does come in multiple head circumferences, but you do the cable bands and then pick up for the hat and go from there. The tam comes in size 17 and 19-inch head circumference, actual knitting to fit a 20 and a 23, and same for the beanie, and it uses the worsted weight on size 7 needles. So
I like the Silver Plates Dragon Scale Cloche. It's got cable and lace, but in a very sort of easy to pick up way. It does have short rows, and I like that it's got these little notes. And like for this one, it tells you, don't worry about picking up your wraps because it's going to hide it in garter anyway. You won't see the wrap stitch. So I like the little notes it gives you.
The second section of the book is Warm and Wonderful Mittens. And I really like the Turquoise Trail Fair Isle wristers. They're meant to be done in Southwest colors using Fair Isle technique, but I definitely could see those in more of my colors like grays and blacks and purples. For sure. And that uses the worsted weight.
I like the Fisherman's Friends textured cuff gauntlets. These I like because they have a little bit of detail on the cuff, but then for the rest of the hand it's very simple and quick. So really once you get past the cuff, it's all stockinette. and it's kind of mindless, and it's in worsted and knit on size 4, so it would go pretty quickly as well, and gives you a nice dense glove.
I'm in love with the Scandinavian inspiration Fair Isle fingerless mitts. I kind of want to spin for these. I think it'd be a cool way to use up little bits and bobs.
Yeah, of
Like
leftovers.
David of Southern Cross did special orders and did 50-gram put-ups, which I wish more people would do for color work. But also, I have a mad crush on Mary Jane Mucklestone.
Yeah, the color work. Yeah,
To meet her, she's like in my top list of people to meet.
I actually think Into the World's little bag of leftovers would be good
Yeah,
for that.
that would be super cute.
I like the Green Gables cabled gauntlets just because they're very simple. It's the same cable separated by the straight lines all the way around, and that gives it a lot of stretch, so you wouldn't have to be very particular about meeting gauge for it to stretch and fit different people.
Cool. The next section is cuddly cowls and scarves. My favorite is Tiptoe Through the Tulips, which is lace cowl. I would love to knit that in like a cashmere blend yarn. I think would be really, really pretty. Not
Yeah.
that there's anything wrong with an acrylic wool blend, but to get that drape of like a silk cashmere
Yeah.
would be gorgeous. Great, some great gift ideas in here. And that uses a worsted weight yarn, so it's going to go fairly fast.
This one uses their chunky weight, and it's brioche du jour, and it gives you a little taste of brioche, and on each side one of the two colors pops. So on one side the orange is more prevalent, on the other side the purple is more prevalent. While I wouldn't necessarily pick those colors, I do think it's a good way to quickly pick up the technique.
Definitely. The next section is snuggly sweaters, shawls, and shrugs. And let's see. And here I really liked the Victorian Lady lace border shawl.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then you can do your slip stitch one. I know where you're going. The Victorian Lady lace border shawl. It's like we've filmed this episode before.
I love that shawl.
You think we'd be better if we filmed, but it just stays the same. I love this shawl for especially a prayer shawl. It's done on a chunky yarn, 3 skeins, so 360 yards. It would go super fast, and I love the idea of prayer shawls in general. My godmother just got one because her mother's got Alzheimer's, and a lady at her church knit her one, and that's just so cool to me. People who spend their charity knitting time doing that for others is very cool, and I think this would be a great pattern to mix it up a bit.
I like the Checkmate slip stitch shawl. This is knit in the chunky weight, and it's knit on size 11, so you can imagine how quickly it would go. And I just think it gives it a nice, it makes it look a lot fancier than it is, and I kind of dig that. So.
I really like the Here Comes the Sun triangle shawl. I like the color, and I'm not like a yellow person as a whole, but it's like in the winter months when it's kind of meh, I think that would really brighten up a room. I like the turquoise peacoat border on it.
Yeah.
It's a chunky weight, so 3 skeins of the yellow and then 1 skein of the turquoise. So you're only looking at 380 yards maybe total. So it would go fairly fast. The next section is quick and clever gifts.
And I like the Rockabye Baby wavy lace blanket. This is again in the chunky weight. It calls for 5 skeins of it. It's knit on a 10.5. But it's got nice, easy sections of feather and fan with garter edging to separate the stockinette sections. And I just think it would be a really quick gift for, a new mom for a baby shower. Laura has a baby shower every other day at work, it seems like. So I think it would be a good gift.
Yeah, they're all getting hats. They actually picked out, they wanted like big crochet long stocking caps for baby photos. So I'm just knitting them there, and they're all getting the same. I have 3 coming up. I love this baby sweater. Super cute. It is called Sweater Girl. It's a raglan cardie. It's worked from the top down with a charming cabled tail and reverse stockinette on that top collar and the cuffs and the bottom. It comes in sizes 3 months all the way up to 24 months. I love a 3 month size. It is awesome. And uses cascade yarns in the worsted weight. So,
And the last
very,
one that
very
I
cool.
really like in the book is the Tilt-A-Whirl Lace and Garter Afghan. And this is knit with the worsted weight. It calls for how many skeins? 6 skeins. And it's got that sort of heirloom look to it. Like you can tell that it was handcrafted and that it was made by a person and not a machine. And I like that. So,
And last for me is the You Are My Sunshine, another baby party. But very, very cute, very gender neutral. Just like switching those buttons to a plain button would make it extremely gender neutral. I also wanted to show the diagrams, the schematics in this book for the sweaters are very, very clear.
yes. And they
So
also have a short section in the back with um, directions on how to do increases, decreases, short rows,
magic loop,
3 needle bind off.
all sorts of things.
Yeah, it's definitely enough to get you started.
So
So,
this is Cozy Knits, 50 fast and easy projects from top designers. And there are, we didn't really mention that, but there are a lot of the interweave designers that you see a lot in interweave publications in this book. And it is $18.95. So thank you so much, Interweave, for sending that our way. I know that there are going to be some presents knit out of that for sure. I think it's a great
I like
book to add.
I like their
for
collections because even if you don't love every pattern, and we don't love every single pattern in the book, but definitely you get your money's worth out of it. You know, like Laura said, $18.95. If you can justify, if you can find 3 or 4 patterns in here, the book cost is justified. So, anyhow, I like the book. It's going in my library.
Yep. We do have some questions in our question thread, and they are from Forever Knitting 31. And the first question is, what was the first spinning wheel for each of you, and which one is good for a beginner spinner? I think both of our beginner wheels, our first wheels, are good for beginners, but it depends on how much you want to spend. So Leslie can tell you the story of her wheel, and I'll tell you the story of my wheel.
So when Laura and I first decided, and it was all Laura, I'm not going to lie, Laura decided Laura decided she was going to start spinning, and so I went along for the ride. And we went out to a local shop in Memphis and rented what they had available at the time, which was a Louette S10, which is a bobbin lead wheel. And I think Laura rented it first, and then she went back and rented a Ladybug, which she eventually purchased a Ladybug. And that was her first purchased wheel. After she was done renting the Louette, I rented it and took it with me on a road trip. Michael and I went to Denver to see the Foo Fighters play.
You drove to Denver.
We drove to Denver, yeah. I wasn't going to put you, that's not a travel wheel at all. But yeah, we drove from Memphis to Denver. We split it up over a couple days. And we went to see the Foo Fighters play at Red Rocks. They did not play at Red Rocks. They had to cancel like the day before because Dave Grohl got laryngitis or something. Which was disappointing, but it was okay because with all of our free time, we explored, and I convinced him to go with me to the shot factory in Boulder. And we took a tour of the factory, and we got to see how they made all the wheels, and it's a very close-knit group of people that make everything from start to finish. And then we went to, I got to sit and play with the different wheels, and then we decided to go to a local shop to buy one.
Shuttles and Skeins.
Yeah, Shuttle, Spindles, and Skeins, which is partly owned by Maggie Casey. And I didn't know that at the time, of course, but and I convinced him that I needed a matchless. So
Everyone needs a matchless.
he was very kind and purchased a matchless for me. I think that was my birthday and Christmas gift and something else all in one. So that was my first wheel. I would say, and Laura can elaborate, but I would say if you're anywhere near a metropolitan area, a city, look and see if you can find a spinners guild, and go to the spinners guild and see if they will let you try out their wheels. And most spinners love to give you a chance to try out the wheel, because they'll try to convert you to their wheel.
Yep.
You know, if somebody owns a Majacraft, and they're going to be convinced that the Majacraft is the best wheel, and you should feel that way about your wheel, regardless
Yep.
of what kind it is. But every wheel is different, and one will talk to you. So I would definitely suggest trying as many as possible. There are a bunch of local shops that will allow you to try and sometimes rent the wheels. It's depending on, you know,
Yep.
how big of a city you're in or what have you. So
I would say the Woolery, which is in Kentucky, Manning's, which is in the middle of Pennsylvania, the Fold, which is in Illinois, and then Susan's Fiber Shop, and she travels a lot to different festivals. Yeah. So if there's a festival that's near you, she even goes to like small festivals. Like she does the Dixon Festival, the Middle Tennessee Festival, which is what I would consider a very small festival.
Yeah.
And she'll bring all her wheels, and you can sit and try.
Yep.
I would definitely recommend, like Leslie said, recommend trying out a wheel. Wheels are kind of like cars. The way I sit at a car is much different than the way Leslie sits at her car, because I'm 6 foot and Leslie is not. So there's different things that we would look for in a car, and there's different things people look for in a wheel.
Yeah, and people can be put off by things they wouldn't have thought about, like how high the orifice sits, or whether the wheel or the pedals are tilted, or whether they rock.
The Lendrum has a tilted type wheel,
right.
And actually you can change the height of that orifice. But like one of our friends has a hitchhiker, Linda Hitt has a hitchhiker, and like I've never thought that that was the wheel for me, because it's very, like, it's only this big and it sits off the ground and you're spinning here. But as I become more of a spinner, I kind of lay back and kind of chill, and so that wouldn't bother me. But when I was first starting, I wanted my orifice right here. I didn't want, like, because you're right up on the orifice a lot of times. So for me, that was a big deal. Like Leslie said, my first wheel was a Ladybug. I'm a little bit spoiled in that. So when I graduated, this is a oldest child story. So when I graduated college, I got a sweatshirt. My sister, when she graduated college, got a motorcycle. So I looked at my mom and I was like, that's totally not fair. And that's how I got the Ladybug. So Becky still got a motorcycle, but I got a Ladybug. So that's my first wheel, was a Ladybug. Just to talk about price points on the shocks, they have gone up since we purchased ours. When I got the Ladybug, it was brand new, and I think we spent $500 on it, including the
Lazy Kate.
Lazy Kate. How much did you spend on your matchless?
I didn't spend anything.
Well, how much did Michael spend?
Michael spent, I want to say it was like $900 and something, and now they're closer to $1,175, I think.
And the Ladybugs now, they used to come with the wooden bobbins. They kept their price around $575 by converting them to a plastic bobbin. The Sidekicks, which is the more portable wheel, range in the, like, I want to say almost $800 range.
Yeah, they're the mid-700s.
So the pros and cons, I think when you go to think about getting a wheel, you have to think about your lifestyle too. If you're going to be on the go a lot, a big bulky wheel like the Matchless, and it's not bulky, it's very streamlined, but it is a heavy wheel.
It is a heavy beast. It's not really meant to travel.
Like Mom's has a cart, like little wheels that she puts it on when she needs to go places, but it's not what I would consider super friendly. Like I would never fly with a Matchless. No,
because you'd have to disassemble it.
And I don't know that you could reassemble it once you do that. The Ladybug's a little bit easier to travel with because it's got a red plastic wheel, so it's only around 10 pounds.
Yeah, it's a lot lighter, but it still doesn't break down.
It does not fold. But the thing about the Matchless and the Ladybug that I like for a wheel is they can grow with you. Both of them can do both Scotch tension and double drive. which are two different ways of getting the yarn actually on the bobbin.
Yeah.
Both of them, the new ladybugs have this really cool, like their Scotch tension's actually in the, like there's like a little divvy and it's in there. It's very cool. But like they've changed even since I
Oh yeah, they
bought my
evolve. They're
ladybug.
constantly.
They definitely do.
Shocked is not a company that is happy with the status quo. They are always looking for a way to improve their product. And this is us selling you on our wheels, right? Like you said earlier.
Yeah.
We're both very happy Shocked owners. But like Laura also has a Lindrum and loves it.
Love my
we
Lindrum.
We both have Hansons and really like those as well for what they are. So
things that I like about the Hanson, Lindrum, and the Shocks is they have a multitude of different ratios. Mm-hmm. So the ratio is how much twist is being added to your yarn per rotation of the wheel. And so like slow for that would be like every one time it goes around, like 3 twists are added. That would be extremely slow. A lace flyer would be more like 25. Mm-hmm. So when you're thinking about, you need to think about portability, but also what you want to spin. You know, for me, the cool thing about a matchless would be you can add the ultra fast flyer, which would go super fast, add lots of twists. It's perfect for lace weight yarn. And I could actually buy that for my Lindrum too. Another thing to think about is the cost of accessories. So my Lindrum, each of these little bobbins, costs around $20. For the Shocked, they're around $35. Mm-hmm. For the Hanson, they're what, 60?
Oh no,
are they 40?
They're like 30 something.
Okay. But different wheels have different accessories with different costs. And you do want to be able to add things if you want them, like a bulky flyer, if you suddenly decide that you want to do art yarn, which I never thought I would, and I love it. Or you want to spin that 8-ounce bat in one bobbin. Like for sweater quantities, that would be awesome. The cool thing about the Shocks that I really like that you don't have the ability to do on the Lindrum is, I wish I had a flyer with me. Oh, I do have a flyer. Hold on. I have my Hanson flyer behind because I'm lazy and I never put anything away.
You're going to have to move all that crap.
Shut your mouth. Hold on, I'm getting it up for a second because it's actually tangled in my cords, which is super awesome. Okay. So this is a flyer on a wheel that needs to be cleaned, which is why it's sitting on the table and not actually in the bag. On the Lindrum, the ratios are actually attached to the flyer. So for this flyer on the Lindrum, I would have 3 ratios that are attached. On the Shocked, there's a little thing called a whirl that's separate, that's about this size. And it's got the grooves in that, so you can put it on any of their they have one flyer head, and you can put it on there and trade it out that way. So that's another thing to think of as well. I don't know, what else do you need to think of when you are looking at wheels?
I think we covered it pretty well. We've been talking about them for 15 minutes, so.
Okay, yeah, that's quite a bit. I've added lots of things from our original conversation. The second thing is, what is your worst knitting mistake, and what did you learn from it? One of my first sweaters was this big bulky cotton sweater, which was super flattering. It was like neon orange.
Sexy.
It is. It's very sexy. And I couldn't get it over my head. And I didn't know that if you cut stuff, it unraveled. Like, I should know that, but it was very early on. So I actually, like, mini steeped it so it could go over my head. I'm going to have to look and see if I have that, and then just sewed the bejesus out of it. It's very attractive. I think I wore it once. I'll have to see if it's still, I think it's still in my closet.
How did you wear it if you couldn't get it over your head?
Well, I steeped it. Just like I did a little V-neck right here. I think Becky helped me with it, too.
That sounds like a Becky thing. Yeah, cut it. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Because obviously that's what we should do. I think I was 18, too. So it wasn't like a recent project. But I learned that, A, if you cut your knitting, it will unravel.
Yes.
B, never listen to your sister, who was probably like 12 at the time. If I was 18, she had to be like 13. So obviously that's a good move. And just, I guess, cotton, bulky cotton is not going to be the most flattering sweater on my body ever.
Bulky orange cotton.
Bulky orange cotton. It's very attractive. So that's my worst knitting mistake.
Mine, the only one that comes to mind, because I tend to block things out, and also I screw things up all the time anyway. But the one that I can think of is when I first started knitting socks. I decided I was going to pick a really hard pattern and knit them. And so I went and picked Cookie A's Twisted Flower, which has lots of lace and twisted stitches, and I believe there's even some cables in it. I know there's some reverse stockinette in it. And I just figured I would pick up some needles, I would pick up some yarn, and this would happen. And it did, except the socks were so small, I couldn't fit them on me. None of my friends could fit them on them. I should have tried it on my child, who was probably 4 at the time, to see if they fit him. But it was so narrow, it couldn't have been more than like 7 inches in circumference. It was like, at some point you would think while I'm knitting it, I would be like, let me see if I can get this sucker on. But no, I just kept on going.
You were a tighter knitter when you were first
I've
starting
always
as
been
well.
a tight knitter, but it's gotten a little bit better as I've gone, like figuring out, purling versus knitting and how to balance it. But I would say that was probably, and that's on my project page. They're on there.
It's her Gothic Rose, because we looked up the colorway last time. Dreamin' Color Smushy socks, and they're really pretty.
They were beautiful, but
my first pair of socks couldn't fit a human. They go like as I adjusted the stitch count. So those are our crazy mistakes that we've learned stuff from. I'm sure there'll be 800 others.
I'm sure.
We have some stuff to talk about and favorite things.
We got cool new stuff.
We do, and also I have 3 family members who have stories involving knitting, so that's pretty cool. I added another one.
Oh, okay.
Special.
I don't even have the show notes up, so let me go over there.
So, first off, my cousin Karen flew from, she moved to South Carolina, and she flew into Syracuse, New York to visit with family. And when she was in the airport, she met a nice lady who was knitting, because we taught Karen how to knit. My mom did a couple of years ago, and she's picked it up, and she was like, hey, what pattern are you using? And it was one of my patterns.
Oh.
So if you watch the podcast, you met my cousin, and that's very, very cool. And she said you were very nice. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is sweet. What pattern was it?
I think she was in LaGuardia.
No, I don't care about the airport. What pattern?
Oh, I don't know. She didn't say.
Oh.
She wrote me a Facebook message, because that's how my family communicates. Wheezy, who is my father, for those of you who are new to the show, he is the president of his motorcycle club.
He is the president of every community group he's ever been a part of, I think.
At some point, I feel like. He is the mayor. Not literally. That's what we call him, because he likes to talk a lot.
Schmooze.
Strangers, normally in yarn stores. So at his Christmas party this year, they were playing Dirty Santa, and he unwrapped a gorgeous hand-crocheted Afghan, and he hid it so no one else could steal it, because he's sneaky like that.
Cheater.
And it was orange, which is his favorite color, which I don't knit him anything orange, because it's not my favorite color. So he was super excited. He came home, he showed it to me Sunday morning, and he was like, this is almost perfect. And I said, well, what would make it perfect? And he said, well, if it was out of natural fibers. So my father has become a yarn snob, and my mother and I totally called him on it. And he said it was my fault because he hangs out with me too often.
So the entire family is spoiled.
Yes.
On each other.
So, cool new stuff. I have my...
Wait, you have one more. You have your sister's...
Another family thing. I was going to space it out with cool new stuff.
Just get it over with.
Okay. So my sister Beck is doing a very cool hat cowl. I think I'm off that page now. Hold on. Now I have to go back and find it.
Yeah, so Beck has knit this, ear flap lumberjack hat.
Which is thrummed.
Yeah, it's thrummed, so it's got, bits of wool in it. And every picture I've seen her in lately has got this hat in it.
She's in love with this hat. I'm kind of concerned I'm getting one for Christmas. Hers is orange. Orange apparently runs in the family this week.
Orange is the word of the day.
Yeah, apparently it's the color of the day. And she did a very cute graphic for it too. So my sister works for Made in America Yarns. She is their social media coordinator amongst other things. And so they are doing the fleeced ear flap hats or any Thrones ear flap hat of your choice knit along, which I wish I could do, but I have to knit Christmas presents. And I don't think she wants another Thrones ear flap hat for Christmas, although she could. There are some very cool prizes, and you can read all about it in the Made in America Winter Fleeced Ear Flap Hat Cal thread in the Made in America Yarns group.
Yes.
So, very cool stuff in that neck of the woods, and I told her I would give her a shout out on it.
Yeah,
so
it's cool. She's fun. She runs good contests, so.
She does. She runs good contests for us, too, so that's good.
So, alright, new stuff. Yay!
New stuff.
Laura spotted these on the Knitty Spin blog when the new edition came out a few weeks ago, whenever it was. And so we contacted these folks and asked them if we could get one for review. And they were super duper nice. So I'm going to show you my bobbins first, and then I'm going to tell you about them. So right now they're in the process of making them for a bunch of wheels. Right now they only make them for Hanson, Lindrum, and Majacraft, I think. And you get to pick a bunch of different colors. They're all in like $25 to $30 range. It depends on your bobbin and how much of the material you use. But they're flat pack, so they can break down. And then they have just these little snaps in there. So they fit in really quickly.
Ooh, if he does them for the ladybug, I'm totally getting that color with that design.
They don't yet.
The ladybug. I know, but when they do, because he's working on it.
So they come in different colors. There's this grass green, there's red, there's like 20 colors.
Gray, blue, purple, so navy. And there's 3 different designs. Yes. So I have...
you have a spoke or something?
Yeah, bicycle spoke maybe, in my hand. And then they just pop right off.
Yeah.
Leslie's looking it up.
I wanted to talk a little bit about his company because I asked him to send me some information just, about how they got started and all that, just so that we could kind of get a feel for the company. And so he sent me back a lot of really great information, but we wanted to show you the products first. And so these are made with a 3D printing machine.
Very cool.
So like I got 2 for my Hanson because he doesn't make the ones for my Shocked yet. But those are the next ones they're going to develop, he said, because they're in high demand. So this one is like, I don't remember, something spoke. Okay, so he wanted to talk about the company itself. It's a family company. They call the main folks jokingly call the core 4, which is him, his wife, his sister, and his brother-in-law. He's a mechanical engineer. His wife is a licensed architect who's a professor at a local college. His sister is a knitter, and her husband, the brother-in-law, is an electrical engineer who also does a bunch of woodworking. So between
That's a lot of very smart people.
They have a lot of varied experience, and they can figure out how to work together as well. So they also get help from their other family members, and the ladies in the organization tend to work more on what design aesthetic is going to appeal to the mass of crafters, because they are both crafters as well, so they're in tune with it already. They all had other careers, but when they moved back, they're in Knoxville, which is in Tennessee. They sort of started up this company called Acreworks, AKER Works, and it's linked in our show notes. And they actually work to develop new things as well. So if you have something you want to get 3D printed, they can possibly help you out with that. And he did want to say that the crafting community is one of the most welcoming ones that they've worked with, because everybody is so excited to help make things better.
Yeah.
It really, it helps him and the company to, if they have a bump in the road, they can more easily sort of get back on track, because...
And on his Ravelry group, he actually has a thread like called "How could I make this better?" Which I love companies, especially American-made companies, that ask their consumers for feedback. That's very cool.
And they do have a lot of sort of a test pool of people. So he's working on different bobbins for different wheels based on demand. So like right now, Shocked is highest on that list because so many people want Shocked. But if you go and make your voice heard that you want it for your Fricky or your, whatever other brand of wheel that you have, you can maybe even be involved in the testing process where you receive a test bobbin and provide feedback and all that kind of thing. But I just
do measurements of your bobbins and stuff.
I love how easily these pack down for travel, or especially if you have a travel wheel. The bobbins take up the most space.
Yep.
And you could pack this down and put it in your toiletry case. I mean, it comes in its own little hand-sewn case. They make the cases as well. So giving them a big thumbs up to develop something cool and new for the crafting community. So
I'm going to try to bring my Hanson up north, and these are the bobbins that I'm taking with me so that I can fit it. Because I'm riding with my parents, and my mother seems to think that the car is a bag of folding or Mary Poppins carpet bag. Like, there are pinball machine parts that are huge that are going with us. That is my brother-in-law's Christmas present.
Yeah.
So my father and I looked at her earlier, and we're like, this is not going to fit in the car. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll make it fit. I mean, she is the magical packer. She packs for SSK, too.
Yeah.
But these are definitely for flying, especially. I'm super excited for these.
And Laura and I will give you more feedback after we've used them. We just got them yesterday, so we haven't had a chance to use them. But I might take these upstairs after I work on the episode and maybe spin while I watch The Daily Show or something.
Ooh, that's a good plan. My mom actually got me a couple, because before I knew that we were getting them, I put them on my Christmas list. So I think I have 3 for the Hanson. I'm super excited.
That's awesome. You can always use more bobbins.
For Spinzilla, hello?
Yeah, that's true. Plus, you can just take the ends off. I wonder if you can buy the ends separately from the tubes.
Ooh, or the tubes separately, and you could just take the ends off.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And just get the... That's a question we should... How can we make this better? You should be able to buy them separately.
Like little stoppers. Yeah. Well, they would come off, though. I bet you they would come off if you didn't have stoppers.
We could make it work.
Anyway,
moving on. So, we do have a giveaway. We're giving away the Kicks and Giggles bag.
No, we already did that. I don't know why that's still on the show notes.
We have to draw. We drew for it on Sunday.
No, we did the Kismet. We gave away Kismet this week.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I trust you.
I don't know how Kicks and Giggles got on there.
I don't know. You do show notes. I'm blaming you.
Okay. So it's supposed to be Kismet giveaway.
Now,
we actually drew for the Kismet ebook.
Yes, we did.
Thread, and the winner was Crystal Mo.
Crystal Mo. It was like 2 through 70 something, and she was number 69. I was looking to see if it was still on my phone, but it's not.
It was 2 through 78.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was 69.
I remember because I giggled in my head.
For a long time.
Who is it, baby? Okay, tell Papa I'll call him back in just a minute, okay? My dad.
Interesting mini Kobe appearance. So we had that we gave away. So Crystal, just contact
PM me, Leslie. You don't call me Les on Rav, and I'll get you in touch with Kennedy over at Hill Country Weavers, and she'll get you your free copy. And for anybody that didn't win but was still interested, you can still use the 10% off code, which is TheKnitGirlls with 3 L's. It'll get you 10% off the ebook. So
And then to give away this week, I showed you all my bag that I'm using earlier.
The book bag.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
it's giving. This is her right there. She is giving another bag, and it's a batik, and it's very pretty. It's got this batik blue print on the outside. It reminds me of tie-dye, and more of a tie-dye fabric on the inside. I need to minimize Ravelry so I can actually see what I'm doing. Be able to see myself. So it's very cool. It's a lined flat bottom bag, perfect for projects, especially a little bit larger projects will fit in here nicely, which I like, and it folds fairly flat,
Mm-hmm.
which is always good. So she is giving us a 10% off code, and the code for that is girls, GIRLLS.
Yep.
And you can use that on her. I guess I could make this actually big so you guys can see it. On her Etsy shop.
Yep. Knitwench.etsy.com.
Yep. And she's giving away this bag, and we will open a thread. And we said for the contest that it was going to be, was it?
Your favorite gift that you've ever received.
Awesome.
So whether it be a surprise visit from a friend or, a really cool handmade ornament or whatever the story may be, just tell us what your favorite gift was that you've ever received.
Cool.
And before I forget, in case anybody's wondering, I'm wearing a shawl I knit ages ago.
I love that shawl. That's probably one of my favorite things that you've ever knit.
This is Bee Fields, and it is by Ann Hansen. And it is out of Woolmiza in the Peppermint Prince lace weight. And it's nice and warm because it is cold in my basement. Cold.
It's like 70s here. I debated about getting my gas turned on while I was gone because I was like, nah, nothing will freeze. And then I was like, I should do that. I should be a responsible adult.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah, you're not going to be there, like, eating up the heat, so it'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. So, I think that's it for this week.
Yes, we are going to be recording together the next time that we record. Yep. We don't know exactly for sure which day that's going to be, whether that's going to be Sunday or Monday, but if we don't anticipate having an episode up by Monday, we'll post it in the mod announcements thread on our group. That's where whenever something goes wonky, that's where we post about it. But once we know better when Laura's going to be with me and when she's going to be with her family.
Depends on the weather a little bit, too.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out, but sometime next week.
A lot of stuff going on with the house closing on Thursday. My car was totaled. I got to clean that out today. So, and then I'm going to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. So if I don't reply to your PM right away or your email right away, I'm not intending to be rude. I'm just rude by nature. So your best bet is to contact Leslie. And for once, she is up on... No, that makes it sound so terrible. Leslie's up on her PMs for once. So you can
I have a hard time keeping up with PMs. I even have a disclaimer on my profile page that says, I may not get back to you for a week. It just depends on how busy I am at work and whether I can actually do any RAV at work. So, but I'm caught up mostly at this point. So if you need anything, PM me.
I also wanted to say for SSK, there is a knit-along, an Amy Herzog knit-along that is starting January 1st. You can win lots of cool not even win. You get lots of cool door prize tickets for participating. She just put out a new pattern, I think, earlier this week. All the details are in the Super Summer Knit Together Ravelry group. Yep. And also there's a list of the vendors that are attending SSK as well as on the supersummerknittogether.com site. So if you're looking for that, they are there, which is super cool. Super exciting.
Super, super, super.
Super, super, super. I'm pretty super.
Okay, so
Anyways.
It's late and there's still transferring and editing and encoding and uploading and all that fancy stuff to do. So we're going to say goodbye and we'll see you again in a week or so.
Bye, all.